and look at these numbers. This is obvious where the strength has been in this market. The 3 crossed over the 6 9 days ago, and the volume point of control crossed over 9 days ago also. Remember, 0 is the crossover day. So putting a crosshair on here, you can see that down here at the bottom, the volume point of control after a 1-day dip had 3 days down and then a 1-day dip, and then there was an effort to rise as this 3 crossed the 6. The 6 remained above the 18 and the 18 remained above the 50 because this has been trending up. And you can see that these fans are moving further apart, or the moving averages are moving further apart, which means the market's gaining momentum. But getting back to this, these are the triggers over here, and it works on everything. I don't care what it is. So just by bringing this chart up, and there's a lot of information in it, I can immediately tell where a stock is relative to the moving averages, and then I can start looking at other things like pocket pivots and volume point, VPA, volume price analysis, and so on. So there's just a tremendous amount of information. Now, there's nothing in this window here because I'm not in stocks. I'm in ETFs right now, but I'm going to go to stocks here in a minute. So this is why I built this chart. This is why I put so much emphasis on it. Now, this is the only chart I use. It's a chart to put things in perspective, or context is what I call it. Now, I'm going to put AAPL in here, Apple. And I want to show you some things I've added to the chart. If you look here, that is the earnings reporting date with the blue icon right here, and the green, I put the dividends in here too. So you can see the effect, what happened after earnings were reported. Now, on the indicator, earnings and revenue, what I'm showing here is earnings announcement date, but you have all these other options. You can use end of quarter, beginning of quarter, middle of quarter, but I think the most important thing is the date that earnings were announced. Also, I put the splits and dividends. I am just selecting dividends rather. I don't want the splits shown in here. I just want the dividends, and that is represented by the green icon. So I've added more information to this chart. So just at a glance, I can tell a lot of things. All right, let's take a look at a few things. First of all, I want to go back here in the video. I put out Monday. I talked about a few charts. I think I talked about all of these. I may have added some by mistake, but let me go down here to the intraday charts. And this blank line is the index. So these are stocks that I believe I looked at. I may have added one or two, and these were stocks that were setting up or very strong. And you can see that Pulte Group, this is a good way to determine how long or how strong a stock is. You just look at these columns. This PHM, 46 days ago, the 3 crossed the 6, and the volume point of control did too, and it's up another $1.22 today. So I'm going to bring this chart up. And I also put this in here. These are warehouse views. You can put anything in here that you want to. Now, I see that this green is showing through here for the dividend. If I don't want that, I'm going to edit this view, and I just have to bring this warehouse field down, which is the dominant warehouse field. And when I want dominant, I'm just going to move it down. Now, these are things you don't have to do. But see, that disappears. Now this one is on top, so that little icon is hidden now. I thought it was distracting. That's why I did it. Anyway, so what do we have on poultry? Look at the group. We start up here. Group ranks 98, trending up. This is one of the primary groups. Look how beautiful this stock is, and it has been for quite some time. Let me go back here. You can see it had a nice run up here, the 3 above the 6. It got extended. When it gets extended like this, there's a good chance it's going to pull back, just because they get ahead of themselves. But when they have nice, steady climbs like this, and the group remains strong, every time there's a little 1 or 2 day pullback, buyers came in and took this stock higher. So this is almost a perfect chart for showing strength. Here's the 200, the 100, the 50, the 18. See how nicely these are spread apart, and then the 3 and the 6. The 3 has remained above the 6 since this point right here. And when they do that, you have a strong stock. Now, it's tough. A lot of times it's tough to buy these stocks, but a lot of people or fund managers don't seem to think so when they're moving up like this, because, look at the pullback here, look at the slight pullback. Even though when it pulled back a little bit here, the 3 didn't go down through the 6. So these are reasons I find this chart very valuable. You can look up here at the VPA information and look at these are best fit trends or VPA trends. And then this is the random walk trend. The calculations on this I'm really not even quite sure about, but if you want a quick read on the trends, you can look at that. But I actually just prefer to look at the other part of the chart. And then here is your VPA or the Wyckoff information. Yesterday, actually this is today's. I click on this. This is today's. Volume's low, the spread's below average, and the close is very high right now. You have any questions on any of this? I'm going to go through these other stocks that I looked at the other day. So let's look at this one right here. Here is one. Let's see, I did the video on Monday during the market. So what are we? Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Here is Monday. Now, this scan, I believe, came up under the pullback setting up category. And that would be, okay, the 3 just crossed the 6 yesterday. So yeah, it had to be here. As I look at this, 3 days ago, the volume point of control, which would be 0 days, was negative right here. So it was a little pullback. And this is one of those stocks that's trending up nicely, and it pulls back and sets up again. And now it is taking off. It's going again. And you can see that the group is confirming that because it's going up. Here is the pullback on the 3 and the 6. This is probably an earnings day. And by the way, the earnings are added to the database on Tuesday night, I believe. They don't come in every day. There's a batch file update, and then those earnings will start appearing here. I don't know if that was earnings or a news event, but anyway, it was a pullback and an opportunity to get into a low risk trade buy. This was Monday. So if you're looking for a low pivot, the definition of a low pivot would be a higher bar to the left, then a lower pivot, and then a higher bar to the right. And the confirmed pivot would be when this body on this one is taken out. So the buy point would have been somewhere in here. Okay, now let me get a little longer look at this. Let's look at another stock. Let's see. Yeah, the earnings are out. Look down here in the corner. You can see earnings due on August 23rd. So that had to be earnings, and they'll be coming into the database. Let's look at the next one. I know I looked at this one. So this would have been, this is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday right here. This one had crossed a few days earlier. I have a 2-day window on these. I'm looking for a 2-day window, either a 0 or a 1. And I've got scans set up for these to locate these. It looks like it went negative right here and then turned positive on that day. In addition to the crossovers, we have volume price analysis information right here. So on this day or these 2 days, this is a low volume test. You can see that when you click on that area, it shows right here, a low volume test. What is a low volume test? It is when the stock trades down and closes near the high. Let me zoom in on this so you can see it better. Okay, it did it here, traded down, closed near the high, traded down, closed near the high, and look at the volume, non-existent. That just means there wasn't any selling pressure that day. This yellow triangle here, that confirms it's an up bar closing near the high after a test. Let me open this up. Well, after a test confirms this low volume test. This doesn't always work, but it works a great deal of the time. Look at this test here. There was a test here. Didn't do much here, but this test was good. This test was good for a couple of days. This test and confirmation were not good, but when it pulled back to the 18 and then moved up. Let's go back here and see what we have. Here's a great test here. Here's a test that worked for a day or two. But let's go clear back here. And what are we looking at here? Here is where the 3 crossed the 6 on an effort to rise. When you see signals like that, that means there was a relative to what's around it. There was the volume wasn't extremely heavy, but look how it is compared to the prior 2 days, and it closed near the high, and the spread was above average. So that was the beginning of the move right there. And we can scan for these efforts to rise, and we can scan for the efforts to rise on the crossover. So we can do all kinds of stuff with this program. Okay, let me move on to another chart that I looked at. I don't know if I looked at Motorola in the video or not. I was looking at it for myself. It's an expensive stock, but the 2-day window on the crossover was here, and it went up. It held above the 18, and then there was a no supply right here, and now it's starting to go higher, but there's resistance right here too, so you need to be careful with that. And volume's up a little bit. Well, that was yesterday. This volume bar here, volume is barely showing today. Let's move on. Las Vegas Sands. I know I looked at this one. And this is a pullback. Here is a no supply, but the 3 is below the 6. There's not a crossover here, so it's not a buy yet if you're looking to go long. What are the positives? The fans in place, 200, 100, 50. The 18 is up here, and we're getting a strength seen returning after a downtrend, and then a confirmation today. What's the group doing? It's kind of flat. So not crazy about it, but it's a low risk trade that if you do your position sizing, and position sizing and risk is, I think that's going to be my next video on Monday, and then we'll get into that next Thursday live. But it's a low risk setup is what I'm trying to say, and that's what we're looking for. What I don't like about it is the 3 is below the 6, and the 6 is also below the 18. And you can see how easy it is to look at these histograms and tell exactly where you are. Okay, looks like we had a few more people join. Now, I think this is the first stock I looked at. And this one, okay, did this on Monday. This is Monday right here. It was a crossover. You can see that. And then it failed. But look at the group. The group started going down too. It hasn't totally failed, but if it were purchased on that day, depending on where your stop is. Now, on this bunched up like this here, I mean, with these really tight candles, a good place to put the stop would be below this low pivot. Just for fun, let's bring up this tool and put it right here. And the buy point right there, that would have been about a 6% risk. But theoretically, if you buy a stock like this and you put your stop below the low pivot, you're still in the trade. Yeah, it's a little scary when it comes back here and then it starts building to the upside again. But if you're careful with your place stops, and this is what's called setup risk. That's how much you're willing to risk on the trade. And my spreadsheets will tell you exactly how much you're going to risk if you use this tool. I would just put these numbers in, and like I said, I'm going to do that on Monday for the next video. And then we'll come back and we'll look at stocks. Next Thursday, we'll do some setups, determine the risk, and see if the trades are something you'd want to take. Any questions so far? Wingstop. This one went on quite a run. Thanks, Tom. I don't know. I think I looked at this later in the day on Monday. But anyway, let's see. Here's Monday. Crosshair on here. It was setting up, looked like it might go again, but this wouldn't have been purchased because using this as a pivot, it would have to take out this right here, and it didn't get executed. But still, this is a trending stock that is above the 18. It pulled it down to the 18. It's finding support there. The 3 is below the 6. I certainly wouldn't take it. At this point, I would make it be looking for the 3 to cross the 6 on some volume. Okay, I think that's everything I looked at on Monday. Now let's go look at some other things here. What I'm going to do here is I've set some charts up, some scans up for us, so you can tell exactly where these stocks are. First of all, I'm going to go into the reference groups over here, and I'm going to go into the major markets components. Since the NASDAQ has been so strong, that's where I'm going to go. And I can look down here and try to figure out where I am with all these charts, or I can go down in my new files. By the way, let's see. Oh, I was looking for somebody. I don't see them online. Down here at folder number 7, where it says context, micro, short, intermediate, and long-term trends. Now, what I've done is I have created scans for all of these. And if you're looking for stocks that may be emerging or are emerging, there's no guarantee they're going to follow through. You can click on micro. And I'll just minimize this. So these stocks, even though they may have triggered several days ago, if it's on micro, until yesterday, you can see that the 3 was above the 6, but the 6 was not above the 18, happened yesterday. So if it's a micro trend only, the 3 and the 6 are positive, but the others are not. The 6 and the 18 are negative, and the 18 and the 50 are negative. So here is your crossover right here. First of all, there were a couple of good VPA signals here. Strength seen returning after a downtrend. High volume up bar closing on the high indicates strength. And we had a large or long white candle on that. And then, let's see here. Yeah, that crossover, it's really hard to see right here, but the green did cross over there. It didn't show up on the histogram, or if it did, I cannot see it. But this was a buy right here, and this has moved up since. But as I was saying, these are the ones that are just emerging. So if you're looking for emerging stocks, use the micro. As I go down through these, you can see that the 3 is above the 6 on these stocks, but this is not triggered yet on the 6 and the 18 or the 18 and the 50. Obviously, these stocks have pulled back. Randy, did you install the add-on I sent out today? Did you sign up for the new files? Okay, well, did you get an email from me today? I'm going to pause the video. Hang on. Let me look. I'm going to a different computer. Randy, I don't see your name on the list. Did you pay through PayPal? Okay, let me resume the video. Okay, so this is a way, like I said, where you can find stocks that are just emerging. You can see several of these crossed over uh, several days ago. This one crossed over 5 days ago. So if you want the crossovers, you're going to have to use a different screen. But if you just want to use these charts or these scans here with the micro, the intermediate, and intermediate trend, I'm sorry, micro, short, intermediate, and intermediate trend with the fan up, and I'm going to go through all these. You have to sign up for the webinar too. We're showing this webinar to everybody for a couple of reasons. We want to increase the customer base, and that's the primary reason. So we're hoping it goes to a lot of people. But for the files, you have to sign up for that too. It's just the way it is. And then you're going to get these scans here. You're going to get an add-on to download this and install it. But if you're using the other files, I think these are in there too. These few that I'm showing here. But all the new stuff I'm going to put in these other files. Okay, let me go ahead. Let's go to the short-term trend. You can see on the short-term trend there are 4 stocks here today, and these 2 windows are showing strength. Now you go back here, some of these are several days old, but the intermediate trend is up, and you can see that buyers are still coming into these stocks. Let's do one more. This would have appeared, I should point this out, this would have appeared at the this date right here, because the 3 went above the 6 and the 6 went above the 18 at the same time, with a test and a confirmation of that test with an effort to rise. So this went from just a short or a micro trend to a short-term trend on this day, and at the same time there were multiple buy signals. Okay, let's do the intermediate term trend now. Let's look at Micron. You can see on Micron, all 3 of these histograms are up now. So this is a stock. It's too loose. It's a very loose stock, but the 18 didn't go below the 50. And then when the 3 crossed the 6 here, also the 6 crossed the 18. So it would have appeared, this one was already in place. So when these 2 appeared, that's when it would have passed this scan. And then finally, intermediate trend up with a fan up. This is where you're going to find some of the strongest stocks, because the fan is in place also. Look at this beauty. I mean, this fan has been in place for a long time. Just to prove or to point something out here, on the pullback, the 3 went below the 6, the 6 went below the 18. Here's the crossover right here. It started moving up. There was a 1 or 2 day pullback right here. You can see it up here, and then another chance to get into this stock. It didn't go below the 18 with a wide fan. Good opportunity to go in, and now it's too late. Okay, let's look at a couple more here, and then let's move on. So this one never did go, the 18 never did go below the 50, and the fan, it's not nearly as wide, but it's in place. 200, 150, and 18. So where was the buy point on this? Using the 3-6 crossover right there, and then the 618 followed up here. In addition to that, I haven't pointed this out, but where the blue bars are, that's a volume pocket pivot. And I use these volume pocket pivots a little bit differently than most people. It's not just a pocket pivot, a true pocket pivot like this, but when the volume is running higher than any of the previous down volume over the past 5 or 10 days, these blue bars are going to be generated because it is showing that there is a lot of interest in this stock because of the volume. So here's the demand, or the cause and the effect, using the Wyckoff principles. So that's these are real handy here. If you have a list of stocks and you're not sure where they are in their cycle, you can just come in here to these trending up or trending down. Now let's look at some trending down intraday. I did it both ways. PepsiCo here, short term is down. You can see right here that the short term went down, and the 6 is above the 18 still, but the 18 is above the 50. So this was a nice run up, but it's selling off, and you can see that there's a couple of negative volume pocket pivots here, reverse pocket pivots, I should say, because the reason is because these volume bars are higher than any up volume bars over the past 5 or 10 days. Okay, Randy, I'll get them to you after I finish this. All right, thank you. So it works going both ways, both up and down. Let's look at intermediate term trend down. And you can see it's down here, and now it's starting to set up. So when you look at these, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go down some more. It just means they're down at that point. And then when you start seeing a bunch of VPA flags like this, and it's holding at what, the 50, there's a good chance that buyers are coming into Starbucks right now. Now, did I mention that I put the name and the symbol on these charts, both the white version and the black version? So it's especially good during these webinars, so you can see what the stock is. So this one I'm going to add to a watch list. $2023-05-18. Okay, now let me show you a little trick here. Starbucks. I want to know more about it, and so I want more info from the web, and we have all of these choices right here. I default to bar chart because all of the data for HCSI comes from bar chart, and I can go to bar chart. And if you use bar chart, I recommend that you sign up. They have a new thing, $60 for 2 years of ad free. And I'm going to log in and show you what happens. If I can get my now see all the ads disappear. And you only have to log in once as long as you leave your browser open. But okay, so all this information is in here. It tells what sector Starbucks is in and so on. But one thing that I like about this, well, there's a lot of things I like about it, but just remember the fundamental data comes from Zacks, and then all this other information is from bar chart, and that's what supplies HCSI. So when I click on the competitors here, look at all these restaurants that are considered competitors. So let's say I want to see how Starbucks is doing compared to other restaurants. So here's what I do. I'm going to click download and I'm going to open this, and it's going to open Excel, and I'm going to get in this column right here. I'm going to swipe down. No, I don't want that. Wrong column. Sorry. I want the symbols. Do a Control C. Let's minimize this and let's go into my designer. I'll just go down here under user groups and I'm going to create a new group. I've got so much going on, it's taking a little time. Starbucks competitors. And I'm going to paste that list. That Control C copied this. Suddenly I have a list of Starbucks competitors. I can generate an index if I want to. I clicked up here on the filter and I'm holding my shift key. That releases the filter and you can see all of these are in here. Then I'm just going to bring up the ranking module and let's see what I'm set on here. Percent change number of weeks. So since last Friday in this group, Cracker Barrel is up 13.86%, almost 14%. Cheesecake Factory is up 11%. Where's Starbucks? Clear down here, it's down for the day, but a lot of the restaurants are for the week since last Friday, but a lot of the restaurants are doing really well. So do I want to be looking at Starbucks? Yeah, I do because of all these VPA flags. But if I'm looking for strength, I would be looking up here at a stock like Cracker Barrel. And look at this. So let's analyze Cracker Barrel. So that's a pretty good reason to pay the $60 a year for no ads to get that bar chart website, because you can, all these competitors are already in there for you or for us, and we can immediately see how a stock is doing compared to the competitors. And there's a lot of other stuff on bar chart. It's a great site. Excuse me. I'm going to take a drink. So let's analyze this chart, the stock. Obviously, it was in a strong downtrend. These did not work out, but when the 3 is below the 6 and you're getting these tests, that's not a good sign, especially when the 6 is below the 18 and the 18 or the 50 is below the 18 also. So whenever you get these, all you're hoping for is a counter trend. It's much better to wait. It's a lot safer to wait. And then on this one right here, these are still below, but on this one right here, this is a good sign right here, though, an effort to rise with a confirmation of the test. But the cross, and this would have shown up as being under accumulation with my undercut and rally charts. Let me show you that here in a second. Anyway, here's your crossover. And since the crossover day, it's moved up a lot. Now, I do have scans for intraday showing what's moving during the day, so you can catch stocks like this if you want to. Look at this here. There was also a pocket pivot. The volume point of control turned green down here before the crossover. So I don't know, Cracker Barrel's on fire right now, and this chart really should. Now let me just digress a minute here. I'm going to go down to my folder number 5, undercut and rally. Now see this here, these light green bars. even though these are negative, and this is the same chart because it gives me this information down here plus the group. But these two green bars, if I'm scanning for this, it's going to show up before the breakout because it's under accumulation. Why? Where do these bars come from? Well, they come from a complicated filter showing that the security is either generating VPA flags or it is generating bullish candles. Let me see if I can. Oh, I was going to see if I could do this quickly, but no, I'll do it some other session. But that's right here. These are accumulation days also, even though it keeps going down. But like I said, the 3 is below the 6. So it certainly isn't a buy signal. Neither were these because this stayed below the 6. So when the trend's down, and also when these trends are down, like I already mentioned, it takes something to really turn the momentum around. And this is what it took. It took that effort to rise. And the group was actually kind of flat to going up. Anyway, this is another very useful chart if you want to look for accumulation. Let's go back to my number 2 chart. And I don't use just daily charts. I use daily charts for prospecting, but I always look at weekly charts too, and I'll spend a lot more time on weekly charts in the future. Okay, where was I? These are short-term trends down, intermediate-term trends down. I think you get the idea by now. These both have to be down. That's not a good example, but these are both down. And this, the last one, that's short-term trend down. I'm sorry. Here's the intermediate-term trend down. These all have to be down. And then the weakest ones are going to be on a day, intermediate-term trend down, fan down. And you can see the fan is reversed, the 200, the 100, the 50, the 18. These are some of the weakest stocks here. But if you go into these, if you're looking to bottom fish, you can look for these stocks that are starting to show signs of accumulation. And this is about ready to close, turn up, the 3 going above the 6. But Qualcomm, I haven't concentrated on fundamentals at all in this session. That's to come later. These sessions are going to run for 8 weeks at least. So there's a lot to cover. And my goal is for you, for us, to get into low-risk trades and ride them. We want to be in low-risk trades, but we also have to know where these stocks are relative to the moving averages. I call these my context candles because it puts things in context. Excuse me. So where's, looking at this stock is not one I would take right now, but you can see just looking down here, the group, or let's start at the top, the group's going up. The pressure is coming off because the moving averages are moving closer together. On this one, you can see the histogram is starting to turn up, not on this one right here, on the 1850, but on these two. And then we're getting some VPA flags. The 3 is about ready to cross through the 6. But the most you can hope for until it proves itself is that you can get a little counter trend rally up here. And it may get up here. to a moving average and just stop. But you're fighting the tide right here. And this is why I call these context charts, because I know exactly where I stand. Yes, there is some accumulation, but boy, this thing is not just going to turn around and go straight up. If it does, I mean, it could, but the likelihood of that happening is just not there. If you're looking for the long-term trends, I'm going to go back up to trending up. Intermediate trend up, fan up. Oh, we'll look at a different, well, let's look at Netflix. Now, this is not a pretty fan, but it's in the proper order. Once again, 200, 150, and 18. And something happened with it today. I'm updating my intraday quotes. Let's see what it looks like right now. Okay. They're starting that to crack down on the password sharing. Maybe there's news on that, but look at this tremendous volume. Now, at the end of the day, if you're doing end of day prospecting, you would never see anything like this. So I'm getting close to an hour already. Any questions on these charts? I mean, I'll be using these charts and lots of other charts in the future. But I think, well, I know this is the most important chart that I use. But I'll be integrating all the other charts into the process too. Not all of them, but most of them. Any questions about this chart before I show you how you can see what's going on intraday? All right. What I'm going to do is I need to bring the main menu back up. I'm going to update. Thanks, John. Thanks, Tom. I mean, it's better. You look at it just a naked chart. Sure, you can see a lot of stuff, but it just helps me put things in perspective. Okay, I updated the intraday quotes. Now I'm going into the designer. I'm going into the industries. Click on those. I'm going to rebuild the indexes in the group, because what I'm doing is I'm rebuilding the indexes as they are right now. Since I updated all the stocks, these indexes are going to be current. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild the user smart groups. This takes 30 seconds when I'm not recording. And online, it might take a little more than that right here. But what I'm doing is I'm generating a list of stocks. Let's make sure we're in all securities. And I'll bring up my quick pick. And what I'm doing is for this webinar series, I'm going to be talking a lot about the top-down process, okay? And I'm trying to make it easy for us to prospect at night and during the day. And I'm going to go to C. This one is the intraday. And I just rebuilt those. And now if I'm in all securities, I can click on this and I can see, remember I rebuilt the indexes or the industry groups. I'll get this out of the way. And this is sorted on industry groups. This tells me how much the group is up today and what stocks are in this group. Then I have the intraday change, the intraday range, and the intraday volume right here. But here, this is sorted on the group. And there's 100 stocks. What's represented here today? Application software, semiconductor devices, exploration and production, internet-based services. So you can go quickly to any of these. I'm just going to click on AMD right here. And that will take me to the semiconductors. And then I can just, if I want to isolate them, I can right mouse click. And then I can just move down the list. Now the question is this rally a buy the rumor and sell the news rally? We're going to find out pretty soon, aren't we? But you can see, you can isolate these and you can see what is moving today. These are stocks $15 and above. If you want to look at stocks that are $1 to $15, they're right here. A lot of people like to look in that price range. That's why I split it up. Thanks, Tom. So, and now, in addition to this, let me see if Netflix showed it. It should show up. It didn't show up in that, so I'm surprised. $15 intraday. I'm going to show you one more thing before. This thing is going to go an hour, isn't it? I start talking and I can't stop. Okay, so I have both. This is $15 and up, and then if you go down to number 3, it sorts on a demand combo, and it shows you, see, it's not on a group anymore. It shows you the stocks that are most in demand based upon that combo ranking. Look at this, 2 pocket pivots back to back. Yeah, it's the trend's down. This is why I use the chart. I can see. If I just had a naked chart, I couldn't really tell where I am. You can see there was a dividend paid a couple of days ago, and the 3 crossed the 6 here. We have a higher low. When a stock starts trending, you're going to see here's a low, here's a higher low. You'll see a series of higher pivots. And here's pivot number 1 after the low. So yeah, it's the list will be coming out. It'll be tomorrow, and there'll be it'll be both on YouTube and downloadable. Sure. Well, thanks for coming. Okay, so those two, and then I have the same thing on the downside if you're looking to short. But let's do one more thing here, something I just put in today. It's down here at number 19. Large cap stocks up intraday. You can see there's 118. And boy, the market must have taken off. I haven't even looked at it. Wow, did it ever. 255 points on the futures. Because when I looked at this earlier, there were 85 up. But what I did here, and I did this for a couple of reasons. Well, I just explained one of them. It's for momentum. What this filter does is it goes in and combines the stocks in the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 100. And if I take this filter off, you can see I can't take it off because it goes, I didn't. Take my word for it, there's about 170 stocks in there when those two are combined. And that gives me a, okay, let me get this back up here so we can see the quick thing. So large cap stocks up intraday, large cap stocks down intraday is right here. And there's 170 stocks and only 52 of them are down. But after rebuilding the indexes, you can see if these indexes are down or the indexes are up, and the stocks are up and down. But here's PayPal. It's down another 31 cents today. You can see the days down, it crossed down 7 days ago on the 3 crossing the 6. So let's just take a look at it. Evidently, the earnings weren't well received. But my reason for doing this today is I'm doing it especially with the intraday to see if there's momentum building or going down during the day. And it's just the stocks that are heavily traded in the S&P 100 and the NASDAQ 100. Does that make sense? So Netflix is in here. $8.78 it's up today. What's that percentage move? Well, this is why it didn't come up in that 100 list. It's only up 2.14%. Such a big stock that the percentage move wasn't that great. But the original one I showed you, the 100 stocks, it really gives you a good feel for what's moving during the day. And then if you come here, I didn't mean to do that. If you come in and I got to get my warehouse back up. Come in and look at these large cap stocks, you're really going to have a feel for where the strength and the weakness is. Okay? That's it. I went a little over an hour, and I thought I might go a half hour, but I can't quit talking, I guess. Some people had to leave. So I'll get these videos processed, and I'll upload them in the morning and get them out to you. Thanks, Tom. Any questions? Did it all make sense? I guess. If not, ask me and send me emails and stuff. And I will, thanks, George and John. And I will clarify things. And I want to get this process in place for us. You can see why I designed these warehouse views like this, because it really tells us what's going on. Okay, thanks for listening. I'm going to shut it down, and I'll see you next Thursday online. There will be a new video on Monday.